My wife had my sister-in-law deported. I have been with my wife for 8 years, and we don't have any kids. All of this chaos started when my brother and sister-in-law moved permanently to my home country after living abroad for a while. At first, my wife Emma didn't have any issues with her. Both are American, but Emma has lived with me here ever since we got married. However, things slowly began to sour. My brother and sister-in-law are free-spirited, very laid-back people who smoke marijuana frequently. While it doesn't bother me, Emma was exasperated that every time we saw them, all they talked about was weed. The tension spiked when my brother invited me on a road trip to Sweden, a trip Emma had always wanted to take with me, but we never managed to do. From that moment on, whenever I went out with them, she would get short, make subtle comments, and her disdain steadily grew. The breaking point happened when they both entered the same photography competition. After a series of childish passive-aggressive digs on social media, I confronted Emma to find out what was going on. She confessed that she was jealous of how much time my sister-in-law spent with me, resented that she cooked for me, and feared I would start smoking again because of their influence. She also admitted she deeply disliked their lifestyle and felt like I was just pretending to agree with her about how annoying they could be. We talked it out, calmed down, and things went back to normal. Until last week, when my brother called to hang out. He sounded pretty high, so I told him no. Emma overheard the conversation, went quiet for a moment, and, under the pretext of walking the dog and grabbing vegetables for dinner, left the house. What she did next was unhinged. She called the police anonymously from the street and reported smelling marijuana coming from my brother's apartment. The police raided the place, issued fines, and while checking documents, discovered that my sister-in-law's tourist visa had expired months ago. Within days, she was transferred to a holding facility and deported with a 10-year ban from the entire Schengen area. Their marriage was shattered overnight, and since my brother has a drug record, he can't travel to the United States. When I found out what happened, I confronted Emma. Far from showing remorse, she looked at me with total coldness and confessed, "Yeah, I know. I called the cops. I was paralyzed." She had destroyed my brother's life and her sister-in-law's marriage purely out of envy and spite. Update 1. The next day, the situation escalated in a surreal way. My mother came to visit to find out about the tragedy, and I ended up confessing what Emma had done. My mother was furious, but when we sat down to talk it all out, Emma pulled out her phone and showed my mother Facebook messages where my sister-in-law openly admitted she planned to have a baby solely to collect paid maternity leave in our country and secure her legal residency. My mother, who had suffered firsthand from her own family using children as pawns in the past, switched sides in seconds. She started justifying Emma, saying my sister-in-law was a calculating manipulator playing the system, and that my brother didn't have his life together enough to be a father anyway. Emma used that opening to argue that if my sister-in-law hadn't been so busy playing housewife to another man's husband, she would have had her paperwork in order. Even so, I made it clear to Emma that her real motives were jealousy and that this action terrified me. While I completely understand her fear of my brother's constant drug use and acknowledge that my sister-in-law should have sorted out her immigration status, the calculating coldness with which Emma acted crossed an unforgivable line. We agreed to start couples therapy immediately. She apologized for acting behind my back, but she has never apologized for causing the deportation. My mother, for her part, now sides with Emma. I was left carrying the heaviest secret of my life. I don't dare tell my brother the truth because I know it would destroy him completely, but carrying this is eating me alive. Update 2. 1 day later. This will be the last post I write about this issue. Many comments on the internet crossed all boundaries, wishing me death or hurling vile insults at my wife. At the end of the day, she is still my wife. I've reflected a lot on my brother. I love him, but at 34 years old, he still lives like he's 18, smoking weed daily and lacking the maturity to sustain a family. On the other hand, Emma has stuck by my side for 8 years, acting as my rock through the hardest moments. I'm not going to throw away a solid decade of relationship just because of blood ties to an absentee brother. Emma calculated every move coldly, yes, but not without heavy underlying reasons. We're going to couples therapy to heal the broken trust and see if we can rebuild what we have. For now, this chapter closes here.